Namaste. Welcome everyone to Candid Convos, a thought leadership initiative of 𝗟𝗏𝗱 Solutions. Many of the challenges organizations face today are not because of lack of intelligence or expertise, but because of how people come together to think, collaborate, and act. Our guest today has spent decades working precisely at that intersection. Keith McCandless is the co-developer of Liberating Structures, a powerful collection of simple methods that help groups include and unleash everyone in shaping outcomes. He is a founding partner of the Social Invention Group and brings together insights from organization development, complexity science, business strategy, and even graphic facilitation, what he calls an improvisational twist. Keith's journey began in healthcare, where he led executive learning initiatives at the Health Forum in San Francisco. He earlier founded the Foundation for Healthcare Quality, thereby bringing together leaders across sectors to improve systems at scale. His collaboration with Henry Lipmanovich evolved into Liberating Structures, now a globally used approach that continues to influence how organizations address complex challenges and design participation. Keith is the co-author of The Surprising Power of Liberating Structures, a book that shows how small changes in the way we engage can lead to profound shifts in outcomes. We will be exploring some of the ideas from this book with him directly today. Keith, it's a privilege and an honor to have you with us today.
Thank you, Ramesh. I'm excited to be here with you.
Yep. Thanks. While Kamakshi and I engage with Keith, I invite all of you to share your reflections and questions in the chat as you come across them. We will bring your voices into the conversation as we go and also create space towards the end for direct interaction with Keith. Yeah, Kamakshi, over to you.
Yes.
Kamakshi.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm there.
there
Yes.
you go.
So in this book, you talk about the hidden structures that shape how people interact. What are these invisible patterns and why do they matter so much in organizations?
Yeah. They're habits, really. So when you walk into a room and there's something going on, you know whether it's a presentation or you're updating each other or whatever it is, you know where to sit. You know how to be with everyone around you. So if it's an update, everybody's updating each other on things. You don't necessarily, you have a turn, but you don't necessarily bring up anything that's spicy or difficult. If you're in a presentation, you sit back, you might be doing your email pretty quickly, do something else because it gets dull and boring. And so every time you're interacting with people, you know how to act. It's just the water you're swimming in. If you were a fish, you wouldn't notice the water. And so one of the first things that we did in trying to apply complexity science to human organizations was, well, what are those patterns? How are we interacting? What's the water that we're swimming in? And, we found 5 dominant patterns, all have limitations. Yeah, so that's the hidden part. It's hidden in plain sight. And we invite people to look at those and take a moment and notice what they don't do, what they don't provide.
So true. So can I go to the second question with your permission, please?
Yeah, of course. And it might be worth, are you in charge of those little slides too? I don't know if we could use any of those now, but I want to be more specific about what those are, what those 5 things. There's 5 big patterns, and they,
Ramesh
I
will
don't
be
know if you
sharing.
can,
Yeah, I will do it.
yeah, I just want to be specific about them and be a little bit, I want to critique them briefly so you can laugh with me about them.
Is this the one, Keith?
Yeah, that's it. So these are the big 5 with a presentation. The ego or the role of the presenter is so big. They have the information, the validity, they have everything. They have all the power. And they'll even usually during a presentation, the person will forget till the very end to say, well, do you have any questions? In a managed, so that's an information power monopoly, not inclusive, not particularly creative. A managed discussion, oh my, the leader and the facilitator have decided in advance what the outcomes are. Why are you even having a meeting? I'm confused. Now I'm being a little rough on it, but that's kind of it. We know what the answers are. We want to bring you along, but we know the answers. A status update. Oh my, it's performative. You're never going to bring up anything that is outside the boundaries of what's rosy and positive. Brainstorming, a few people get in a room. It's not connected to anything, how work is actually done. Most of the ideas could be exciting, but they don't go anywhere. There's no resolve. There's no refinement usually of them. And last, when these first 4 kind of don't get the work done, an open discussion where anybody can say anything, and that's nice, but it usually ends in a couple people in an open battle of some sort, arguing with each other about something that the rest of the people don't care about. So that was part of the motivation for Liberating Structures, is when we looked at the patterns, they underperform. They're either too regulated or uncoordinated, and they don't result in action. So that might be enough with the slide share, but I think that's what I mean when that's the hidden in plain sight patterns that we engage in.
Thank you so much. And then you suggest that how people interact often shapes outcomes more than what is discussed. Could you please help us understand this idea more deeply?
Yeah. Well, if you think about just what I shared there, you never get into much depth, right? All of the downsides of each of those patterns keep it either too positive or only one person's views are being put into play. And so the group intelligence is squandered. It's lost. And secondarily, and the reason I can notice this is because there's alternatives, and they're called liberating structures. But what we do is give each person a chance to draw on their imagination. And we'll do this later in the, draw on your own imagination. Take a minute and think, like, what is it that would make a difference when we're facing this huge problem? Well, then you just talk to one other person for a minute or two and share your views. You aren't trying to come up with a single answer. You're just sharing your views. And then 4 people for a few minutes. And so that shifts dramatically how deep you can go and how much of the intelligence of the creativity, not just the intelligence, but the creativity and the adaptability of the group members, you bring that forward to address the issue. Whereas those big 5 patterns stay on the surface or have a predetermined expert-oriented solution that may or may not work. So yeah, what we want, what the alternative to that, and what we want, if you're a facilitator, leader, and Ramesh, I love the way you use hands to signify you want to include every voice in shaping the future, right? So if you could bring out this creative adaptability, it's what we call it. It's not just creative, not just problem solving, but a kind of creative adaptability. It's a flow state. When you're in it, you don't even keep track of time. More intelligence is brought forward. It's kind of restorative. You gain faith in what's possible and the people you're working with. And what people notice when they're working in this way, it's hard to snap them out of it, right? That they're so much ready to move forward and make progress. So that's always the goal for liberating structures, and the goal of everybody who's a leader, I think, probably everybody who wants to make progress on things that's a leader or a facilitator or both. And for me, excuse me, the way you convene people is the way you lead. There's no different, it's the way you invite people into the work you're doing with them is the way you're leading. There's not a difference between those things for me. Okay, I'm getting into long answers. I don't know if that's good or bad, but
That's good, Keith. We would like to hear more of you. We are getting enlightened. Thanks.
yeah.
So, and you
Okay.
make a very powerful point in the book that participation can be designed. What mindset shift is required for leaders to move from managing people to designing participation, Keith?
Well, I want to tell a little story. So you mentioned started in healthcare. So we decided, okay, work seems excited. This was many decades ago, actually. We want to work on superbugs in hospitals, right? Why? That seems hard. Like, how do you prevent the spread of superbugs? And we believe, just as we're talking about the solutions or the intelligence is right there, hidden in plain sight. Well, how do you draw that out? So we decided to work on specific units within the hospital, like the intensive care unit was one place. I started with a group, and we needed to get what we started with. We were inviting people on that unit. We said, well, we need to comply with standards that are set for not spreading the superbug. That wasn't compelling to anybody. They were like, no. And maybe we could give away coupons if you do the right behavior. We know what the science tells us. Here are the best practices. Wash your hands, clean surfaces, isolate patients. Oh, that's logical. Until we could get the right invitation, which was a design. And the invitation was, on this unit, and this was a flip. This is a liberating structure called creative destruction, or TRIZ. How on this unit could we be sure that every staff member, every colleague, and every patient left the unit with a superbug? Right? That got people's attention. Right? It's kind of reverse thinking. But and it turns out that everybody on that unit knows exactly how to do that. Well, we don't wash our hands, we don't clean surfaces, or we just look the other way, or we're just going to go into the room briefly and not touch anything. Well, need to stop. So to get the leader needs to design something, and the first step, and often the most difficult, is how do we invite people in a way that intrigues them and sparks their imagination?
Great. Keith, when leaders first encounter liberating structures, what are the common barriers or hesitations they experience in getting started?
Well, there's three things that all liberating structures play around with if you're a facilitator. And this is another slide opportunity, those three circles with the things. Sorry, we thought this would be useful. It might be distracting, I'm not sure. But there's a slide with three things, and I want to talk about them briefly. One is timing. So I mentioned
Is this the one?
yeah, this is the one. Now we did almost zero coordinating beforehand, so I love that you're guessing correctly. So fast and slow velocity. First thing that kind of feels different. Well, let's just take 1 minute and give everyone a chance to think. Is that a waste of time? And somebody has to regulate that. That feels clumsy. And there's even some liberating structures that go even slower. And then immediately you switch to another group configuration. We're always mixing groups, and that's to reduce bias, to make things exciting, to keep people from kind of protecting themselves a little bit and their ideas. The maximum mixing really helps. And sometimes then you're going really fast. And this work generates, because everybody's included, they all have ideas. And those ideas need to be layered one on the other and viewed simultaneously. So you get a truly complex, we call it kaleidoscopic, or a deep view. So you artfully layer results. You don't finish the meeting and go, okay, now we have a solution. Now we have the answer, which usually you decided on in advance anyway. Suddenly you need to artfully layer. So there's kind of three things that you do that are more familiar to facilitators, but the arrangement of them, the fast and slow and quick succession, the mixing of groups repeatedly, and this layering, those are all kind of feel different. So that's, Ramesh, that's my answer.
Yeah, thanks. So it's more, no, it's a mix of art and science. Can we say that, Keith?
Well, there was some translation. The hunch, the group that I got involved with were mostly scientists, physicists, mathematicians, all kinds of people. And they had a hunch, the ones that were more socially minded, and I shared it, a hunch that the lessons, the principles underneath any complex system relate to human beings, to how we manage and organize. And so that's a hunch. And we're just proving it decade by decade by decade that it's, and we inherited a more mechanistic, the universe is like clockwork, there's mechanisms, and most of those big five patterns that we use all the time arose out of a mechanistic view of life, or human organizing could be mechanistically determined.
Yep. And you were given some stories in the book, 12 stories you have given, Keith. What patterns have you seen when small changes in interaction lead to significant shifts in outcomes? Are you seeing any pattern?
You've got to, yes, many, but I'll pick one because it's a good story. So at the top of the most powerful people, I'm going to use another hospital one, but it doesn't matter. It could be any kind of organization. And I regularly work in boardrooms, classrooms, community meetings, so it's all the same. But it took months to get the top physicians in this one hospital, and these are internal medicine hospitalists, like they're the top experts in the hospital, and they needed to be included in this superbug prevention work. And I'm asking a series of questions, something that's called Discovery and Action Dialogue, DAD. And one of the questions is, what do you do to prevent superbugs? And these surgeons are so powerful, they don't really answer questions that you ask, right? But the top guy kind of did. And he said, well, one thing I do is I round, which means going around to the different rooms. I round my superbug patients at the end of my day. And to them, suddenly, all I saw, there was no like, oh, I can use that, nothing. It was just every other physician in that group, their head snapped and looked at him. And in that moment, everybody changed their pattern of rounding patients, and everyone in that hospital was suddenly safer because they took special precautions and they didn't go from one room where they picked up a bug and brought it to the next room and brought it to the next room and brought it to the next room. So it's one of the patterns is it's often that simple, right? You don't need to bribe anybody to do the behavior. You don't need to punish them if they don't do it, but you need to reveal that somebody just like them, just as busy, just as much privileged, has already changed their behavior and you haven't. And it seems small, hugely important. And if you get close to where the action is, that's always available to you, that kind of change.
And in your book, you have given detailed guide to more than 33 liberating structures in the last part, Keith. Each and every structure you have mentioned it in detail. You also emphasize not only about individual structure but also combining them. How important is the idea of stringing liberating structures? The word that you used there, you were telling about stringing. How should practitioners think about it?
Yeah, this would be good with the slide of the structures, I think. So in the early adoption of liberating structures, this is one or two to a specific example.
Yeah, you want to show the entire table, Keith?
No, just go down. I'll tell you which one. It's the one with 4 or 5 boxes and arrows between them. Well, here, let me talk about this just for a second. So you got to pick a structure. Let's say you're just going to pick one. You're going to start a meeting. A really good way to think about it is look through all of them. Each has a single objective. And you go through the list of now 43. And you find something, oh, well, at the beginning of this meeting, I want to rapidly share challenges and expectations while building new connections, right? That's a good thing to do at the beginning of a meeting. So you pick one, impromptu networking. That's what it does.
Right.
But what are you going to do after that? Now you've unleashed these connections and people are focused. What do you do? So now let's go down a slide or two. Yeah, so let's say you did that. Well, each of the structures is modular. That is, you can fit it in with the others. And when you learn one, then it's easy to learn the others. So after that, you might let's say you're addressing climate change. Well, let's do some interviews. Let's invite immediately the participants to discover what they've done to in their home, in their community. What kind of things have they done, and how do they tell a story about it? And that's called an appreciative interview. And then, like the story I just told about the superbug work, you've got to stop doing some things too. Like, well, so what are the counterproductive activities? So let's use another liberating structure. And this has a logical order called creative destruction, or TRIZ. And here you identify all the things that must be stopped before you can start something new. And then incredible, let's say you have 100, 200, 1,000 people involved. If you're online, you can do that. And each of these are scalable, so you can do that. Well, you're going to have a lot of information. So what do people notice out of that? So what difference does whatever you notice, what difference does that make? And then now what are you going to do individually and as a group? So that's a string. That's what we call a string, Ramesh. And it's just a logical sequence of activities. Liberating structures tend to be pretty short, and this could be done in an hour, or if you wanted to push, less than that.
Sure. And then I would also like to share this screen where you have all the liberating structures, everything displayed. I will just share so that
yeah. So each of them has a name, that one line that describes what they do. So
I'm
you
gonna
pick, so that you
listen
can
while I
pick
go
pick
to
pick
PCC.
one that you want to do.
You can
want to
restart the
use.
news, Tommy.
And we've got a little extra audio. That's okay.
Yeah.
And the bottom line are some new ones. Sonali and some other people who are familiar with the repertoire. There's 10 new in the new book. And so the bottom row after purpose to practice has, after COVID and doing a lot more work online, it made sense, and people in the field started doing all very interesting things that influenced what we wanted in the repertoire. So the bottom 10 are new additions, just about to be published.
Great. So we are also getting a sneak peek of your next book, Keith.
God, I've waited so long to publish it. But yes, you're going to get you're getting a peek right now because I'm already, yeah.
Great.
And Keith, if I may,
Yes.
if someone were to begin tomorrow, which one or two liberating structures would you recommend them to start with, and why?
Yeah. The most fundamental one that gets embedded in others is the 1, 2, 4 all. And, it doesn't seem radical, but it feels radical when you do it, to give 1 minute, really 1 minute of silence for everyone to think. And then 2 minutes, and so the invitation is always, well, what's your recommendation? What do you think it is? What question do you think we should ask? Whatever it is, it's a basic thing that addresses a complex challenge that you face. So think for 1 minute, just with one other person in a face-to-face, or 2 minutes there. This is so simple. It's almost absurd to mention it, but it makes a huge difference. Then 4 minutes in a group of 4. Just as easy to do online. Well, there's a little bit of fumbling around behind with breakout rooms, but not much. And then that group of 4, at the end of that group of 4, and they've considered everybody's ideas, when they come back, well, was there anything so important that the rest of the group needs to hear it? Write it in chat, or say it out loud, or stand on your chair and sing it out loud. And that is, so that one, could there be anything simpler than that? But I find it paradoxical that we're willing to think about these most beautiful changes in the world we can imagine, but there's a little hesitation about changing the room configuration, and you can only talk for 2 minutes and then stop and then go to another group. There's hesitation about that, but we're ready to talk about peace and love in the world, or something in the world that's really bold. But changing those, somebody's got to do that. And it's the leader facilitator that's going to say, okay, just 1 minute for this, 2 minutes for that. And we use tingsha bells because it gets really loud immediately. When you include every voice, they get loud, and you've got to bring them back to make a transition. So that is a little bit difficult. I don't know why, or I'm confused about why that's hard, but it is hard for some people. Other people get it like that. I've had people learn the entire repertoire in a month or two. And I've had one physician at a really powerful physician. He took 10 years to decide he was going to use his first liberating structure. And we included him in the developmental process. But he couldn't, there's some personal choice you have to make that I'm going to be the leader facilitator that structures, designs, and structures, hosts this exploration. Why? Why do you think? Why is that hard for people? Why? Tell me. Really? Tell me.
So I was introduced to this 1, 2, 4 and all after I'm introduced to IAF. And then it just works wonders when people don't want to speak at all. Like, you know, for me, it has helped to work with my participants. And today, when I came to know that I'm interacting with that person who has actually made it, it was like, oh, is it? I didn't know that. So thank you. It worked very well for me. And thanks. And maybe we can ask people why.
Well, it's just a little bit of courage. And then it kind of takes care of itself. I see Sonali smiling, and it's good to have a supportive environment. You're creating that with this podcast, with the work, the engagement on Zoom. That's why I'm here, because you're doing it. You know, it's like a little, it's the important amount of courage. Yeah.
And Keith, Chitra has written it that I speak up after careful introspection. Short time makes me anxious. I think that's one of the reasons why people find it difficult. And questions framing matters is what she mentioned too.
Yeah, well, both of those are real. They're real. And the story I told about getting the right invitation for the hospital to work on superbugs. Oh, we had the wrong invitation for a month. We went around asking dumb things, kind of, or just ineffective. They were important to somebody. They weren't important to everybody. And so we had to learn how to do the framing, the invitation. And yeah, you throw yourself into a maelstrom, more things are going to happen. So that short term little bit seems like chaos, can seem like chaos, is the place where all the good stuff happens. So yeah, Chitra, yes, definitely. We're combining this deeper introspection with this swirling social milieu.
My view is that, many of the methods we may use at least partially or, to some extent, but without knowing like it's part of liberating structures. For example, in your book, you are telling about, if you're addressing a crowd, it also matters where you stand. If you want to invite participation, where you stand also matters. So that, to some extent, subconsciously we may do it, but without knowing, like, yeah, we are getting into a liberating structure format.
At various points in time, I'm a little, because I was trained in getting the very elaborate strategic planning schemes in my mind and then laying them on my clients. And so now I'm talking about things that are so simple but important that I could be embarrassed if I thought about, I got to work early on with the masters, the people who knew, but now I'm mostly working on the simplest possible things, the ones that make a difference. Yeah.
Right, Keith. See, we have been, talking for almost 30 minutes now. Can we have some tea, Keith? What about Matt tea?
Oh, please. Well, when we do it online, we usually call it calm tea, but it'll be a little madness in the calm. No question.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us, Keith, what we have to do.
Yeah, so this is going to be pretty straightforward. Let's see. Oh, we have 20 people. That's great.
Kamakshi will help us.
Yeah, Kamakshi, so in a moment, Kamakshi is going to put a open sentence into chat. And you are invited, which means you can not respond to this, but I hope you will. Finish that sentence. And you're going to have a very short amount of time to finish the sentence. And these 4 open sentences that we've designed revolve around the idea of creative adaptability, that flow state where you're so excited and focused, you lose track of time and good things happen and you feel like you've done something afterward. So there'll be this open sentence. You'll have about 60 seconds to type something in chat. And I'd like you to just hold off on pushing the return button until I say yes. And then you'll see everyone's responses and we'll move to the next open sentence. And during this time, grammar and spelling, there's amnesty for those things, right? So you're not composing something for your English teacher, right? You're just trying to communicate your feeling about the response to this open sentence. So let's go with the first open sentence.
So can I press the enter button?
You can do
I did
that.
it.
Yeah. But see, this is why it's a little embarrassing. We're laughing because I'm doing in this moment, I'm controlling something, right? Like when you can push the button. So a moment when I felt totally in the flow zone was. So pick something out of your memory. It doesn't have to be about work, but just something where it draws on your memory of something. But don't hit the return button. So Chitra, you have a little more time. I'm going to be quiet. This is the 1 minute of quiet while you're composing on your keyboard or phone. If you're on a phone, I'm sorry, but it'll be harder maybe. Yeah, please, if you can, try to hold off on hitting the return.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Maybe you can type something else, 𝗟𝗲 again.
Yeah, elaborate if you want to. All right. And return. Nice. Sweet. All right. And just for a moment, notice how uncomfortable that silence was, right? You got to get comfortable with that. So we're going to go to the next question. These all relate to each other. It's like a string. So next question. And then the opposite of, if you were in a flow, do you have any experience or how do you finish this sentence? The moment flow dies in a group is when. All right, so take a moment and, okay, everybody has a chance to push the return too quickly, but don't do it. And return. Uh-huh. Mhm. All right. So we're going to have a chance to look at all the responses more carefully later. But okay, next open sentence. So for me, this isn't a wish or a hope. I think it's possible, but for you, if we worked routinely in a flow state, our teams or our groups, the people around you, if we worked routinely in this flow state, it's achievable sometimes, our teams would, and again, take a moment, reflect on that. And return. Be happier, yeah. Sweet. I want to interject was one more open sentence. One thing we did, particularly to help leaders, facilitators get more comfortable with the silence, we'd say, wear nice shoes. And while you're waiting, just admire, look down and admire your own shoes. And that, otherwise people will be looking at you expectantly, like, should I do, what am I going to do? And they're not using their imagination. They're not really focused on their own answer. So wear nice shoes. Big important pattern lesson, Ramesh. Okay, last open sentence. Yeah, so this is that reverse thing again, I was saying, the creative destruction. To spark more adaptability, I need to stop. How do you? Let's see. Should look at my shoes, but online it's a little harder to do. And return. Beautiful. Now we're planning to give you an opportunity to go into a breakout room and talk about, read up the whole list of things and reflect on what you see and give that kind of opportunity to talk together and then bring something back to the main room, like something in there should be said to the larger group. And that's gonna happen in a minute. And just one thing I want to say about this before we go to breakout rooms, and I think the 2 to 3 people in the breakout rooms is a good thing. And there'll just be a few minutes in there. But the thing I want to say about this, you can have 500 people doing this, or 50, or really any number that your platform can handle. And the same, it takes a little longer to read the responses and get a sense of what they might mean. So it's called 𝗟𝗲. It's a calm tea. 𝗟𝗲 is what we call it, because whenever the chat falls down. All right. So can we do the breakout rooms? Are they ready? And I could go to one too, or we could go, or what would you like to do?
As of now, you kept us away, but we can always get into the breakout rooms, Keith. We can do that. Yeah. So what is the time you would like to give? 3 minutes plus 2-minute countdown, totally 5 minutes. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
You can scroll up in the chat to remind yourself what's there if you want to.
Dr. Kalindi? Nalini? Yep. Keith, would you like to go into a room, Keith?
If there's a room that needs someone,
Yeah, room number 4.
Okay, good. I'll go there. Thank
You come back.
Yeah, that's too fast. Oh my gosh, I want to complain. Who put this together? But one thing, if you are working with this or thinking about trying it, one of the complaints you'll hear is, and you should take incredible joy in this, it's too fast. I want more time. I want to spend more time in the meeting. And the other thing will be, I loved my group. Why do I have to switch to another group? And why do they love their group? Well, they're getting somewhere, right? We're talking about something that matters. So you want to stay with these. Suddenly you're with these people that, even though it's very brief, you kind of care about them. And you want to stay with them. And so you'll get complaints, but they're ones that okay, it's going, it's working. We're getting toward that creative adaptability, that flow that we want. So the complaints you have to, if you're doing this work, now that was too fast, right? That wasn't enough time. No question. But it's a good sign, right? It's a sign. So I don't know what you want to do now, but that we pretty much have stayed on schedule, which I didn't think we would do, but we did so far.
Yes. So we can open it the floor, Keith, for participants to ask you anything. Yeah. So it's open to all.
Yeah. Well,
anything you want
any
to share?
reflection on?
Yep. And Keith, we have participants, from India till US. We have got Anthony, who is from US Indiana chapter.
Great. Hello.
She is the one.
Great.
Hello.
Hi, Anthony.
Bye.
Hi, Ramesh. It's
Good.
so wonderful to be invited by you and to be here with all of you. My name is 𝗟𝗲𝗃. I am in Chicago in the US. I am the treasurer of the Indiana Chicago chapter of the IAF. And Ramesh, I brought your book. I got your
Great.
book.
Fantastic.
But I do have a question for Keith.
Yep.
You mentioned sort of understanding the strategic planning process and sort of laying that on your clients and working with that for a while. How much different is your approach now that you're focusing on what's more simple and what works and sort of strikes at the heart of things?
Yeah. So there's 6 questions that must be answered. So that's the 6 questions that if answered by everyone, and everyone is as many people across the organization as you can get to answer them, that plan will be owned and operated by the people who put it together. And if you're seeing there's a plan developed and then it sits somewhere and everybody just giggles when they think about it, or it's just not really relevant for whatever reason. And I've had plenty of experiences like that. So the simplicity is just answer 6 questions. Like, what's so important about this work? What's the purpose of this work? What have we learned about principles? What must we do or must avoid incredibly? What are the challenges so paradoxical, so confusing? We need to really do two things simultaneously that don't make sense together, but to make progress, we need to address this true paradoxical situation. What are our ambitions? What do we hope can happen that is based in some kind of context? And then kind of finally, well, they're back there. There's also sort of where are we starting? Like what's the status of where things are? And we use something called eco-cycle planning for that. Puts things in a context. And then the final thing is, well, what are we going to do? What are we going to do given our purpose, the principles we hold valuable, all the people we've included, the incredibly paradoxical challenge we face, whatever it is, everybody's got it. And then, okay, what are we going to do and how does that fit into what we're already doing? And so there's a liberating structure. Those questions are simple. And then you can pick different liberating structures to address them, some better than others, but really just answer them. And that makes it as simple when it's not a simple activity, of course. It's the hardest one, kind of. But that's what simplifies it for me. Was that a helpful answer or an answer? There's something in the repertoire, in the new website, a new book, you'll see something called Strategy Not Working, KNOT, not working, that makes explicit what I just poorly summarized.
It was pretty sufficient and clear for me. Thank you so much.
Oh, good. My pleasure. Thank you for the kind words.
Thanks.
And hey, Chicago, love your Pope. Love what the Pope is doing these days. My favorite politician, the Pope.
Thanks. And 𝗟𝗏, I take the liberty of putting you into spotlight because we discussed about this session.
Yeah. Yes. So looking forward to it, and such a privilege to be with you, Keith, the author of this wonderful, wonderful book. We all keep it like Bible or Bhagavad Gita in India to conduct our programs. Yeah, it's a long back. I had, like Ramesh alluded, I had come across certain of the processes and then came to know it is from your book. So set me intrigued and go for more. I have used some of them. It's really liberating, I would say. Although in the breakout room, I was also saying structure is a little hard for me. I'm more often in the flow, and sometimes structure helps to, as boundaries to the river, it helps the flow to be useful for in service of the participants' needs, without which the flow can really go all over. So this is really good. The dance is fantastic.
Sweet. I call myself a structured improvisationalist. So what that means is I love the flow, right? I love to improvise. I love to go wherever the river takes me. But I realized it doesn't work most of the time if I'm with others, right? It turns out I go wherever I think is right. And so to make progress for me, in my work, I need to bring more structure to it. The minimum needed to get something done, but more for me, I need it. And the improvisation, the flow comes, easy.
Absolutely.
No big deal. But if I don't think about both, if I'm making up a new liberating structure or working on one, I am doing both. And the structure feels like, oh my God, I've got to do that, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So that might work for you too. Sounds like it could work for you.
Yeah, but then structure helps a lot in the flow being pretty useful for the outcomes. The dance, I love the dance. So I'm more of a here and now man. I do take a structure and then honor what emerges and on the fly make the appropriate changes required, even dropping the certain structures.
But Keith, I would like to quote one prominent words from 𝗟𝗏. he used to say like, hold the process, but not hold on to the process. That's, very appealing, which I imbibed so powerfully.
Yeah, hold it lightly. Hold it
Yeah,
lightly.
exactly.
But another paradox, when you start with the work, I really recommend that you follow exactly, particularly what's in the new book, but there's steps, there's all that structure is very intentional. After you've tried that, then go wild. I'm happy to do it. But when you're first getting started, I highly recommend sticking with the field tested steps. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So,
yeah.
sorry. So, Ramesh,
Yeah.
it is hold several processes under your belt, but hold on to none, because certain situations that emerge. So, the honoring the emergencies required and be willing to completely drop what they prepared. That's what I meant. So, hold on to none, but hold several, know several. Expand your repertoire, as Keith says, but hold on, not be obsessed with something because I took it to the hall.
Yeah. Great. Thanks,
Thank you.
𝗟𝗲. So one last question. Anyone would like to be in the spotlight? Sonali, Brinda, Ramesh?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I'm happy to ask if nobody else is there.
Sonali, Ramesh.
Yeah. Yes.
Sonali, wait. Yeah.
So, as you know, I work in quality improvement in healthcare. And you gave that example of using the discovery action dialogue and people noticing that somebody does things in a different way, which they can possibly do. How can LS, are there any ways LS can move people into iteration and trying out things? Or we let it happen? How does that testing and iteration happen? Because that is sort of, as you know, in the way we work on quality improvement, that is a skill set that we sort of tend to focus on.
Yeah. Well, we can do this separately too, because it's a big issue. It's a big thing. So I've worked in fall you may be working on falls and medication errors and superbugs, and there's lots of things to do on quality improvement. And what I've noticed is you need to start on a unit and use a discovery action dialogue or some version of that and creative destruction, TRIZ, on something that unit cares about. And if they get results, and they will quickly, the people in the other units will, particularly whoever the manager is or some leader on that unit will be looking over like, what are you doing? Because they'll just start getting better results. And then you don't have to be there, and they start helping each other with it, and the degree to which you have introduced the work and they understand what the work is, they'll do a great job of spreading it across the units. And not only for that, let's say it's fall prevention or something like that. When I was working in hospitals, when we got started, they started applying it to other issues, right? It didn't get contained in the one issue we made progress on. So you don't have to change the measurement thing. You just need to make it clear that one unit is getting better results and the other people will get curious. So that kind of makes it more doable. Is that the question you were asking? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out where the two approaches overlap, where they're complementary, whether I do see, even within quality improvement, there's this whole range in which people function, and some are very structured and linear. But what I'm hearing from you is ensuring people care about the issue that is being focused on, or framing it in a way that is better. And I see some improvement approaches doing that, and some just coming in with an agenda which is from a funder, which does not resonate with people. So I hear, and this has been my thing for 10 years, been marinating in my head, that how do these two, I do use LS in like workshops and training and all of that, but I'm wondering as methods, like what is there a deeper connect, and can we make it stronger? Maybe this is for later, I don't know.
No, well, it's instructive, I think, generally, is that when I found that we started to make progress when I'd go with the leader of infection control or the people around her, usually, who were trying to get things done. When we went on to the unit and used the liberating structures, suddenly their quality improvement effort, their infection control thing came to life. Before that, it was just a flat thing. It was something that it was a function that it was required. It didn't have real purpose. It didn't have momentum. It was nothing, almost, other than a reporting function and a maybe punishment or we need punishment and motivation, but there's nothing for me in it. And so you and the people who are doing, whoever you're working with, getting them right close to where the work is and leading the liberating structures that accomplish the highest order goal of quality improvement, which I've mostly focused on the super tangible ones, like, are you reducing falls?
Yeah.
Is your infection rate going up or down? How many medication errors have resulted in what do they call them? No, they're adverse events, but deaths, all sorts of problems. So I think that movement, when at some level, you need to scale it right down to the local, and then you can pull up and do more at the global level too. They're not separate things, but unless you've made an effort to get real close to the work, whatever that is, it's harder. And the story I tell in the new book, I'm not sure about timing, how far we can go, Ramesh, but I'm going to tell one more story. So I met a guy in the courts. I know something in your background was about legal. Are you an attorney? Are you have a legal background?
Oh, me? No.
No. I meant Ramesh. I thought there was something in his biography about. So I want to tell a story about legal things.
No.
No.
Yeah, maybe I was working in a law firm earlier.
Okay.
One of my assignments. Yeah.
Well, I was working with a young lawyer who was trying to improve the court system, particularly child welfare. And when I first met him, he was getting a degree in facilitation or organizational development. And he just wanted help on improving, the quality of the court, efficiency of the court system. Well, he started immediately using liberating structures in that work. And then suddenly, through a series of steps, we were then working not just in the local courts, but in the region, the state, and eventually the national level. And the focus of the work went from let's get administrative efficiency to let's improve the relationship between, even though it's still adversarial by nature, between the lawyers for the families and the requirements to protect the kids and the regulators. Let's make this more complex and important. And eventually, all of those groups, as working at the national level, the regional and the local, they could focus on creating a more civil society as they were working at the same time they were working on quality improvement, Sonali, but it was in the legal system. So I've seen that multiple times where people who really dig into the work make this transition because all these voices are suddenly with them and they're gaining momentum. They can move from sort of, I'm going to say mundane, let's just make this more efficient or safer. That's not mundane, but you got to do it, to larger things, like much larger scale, and things like global issues where your local action is connected to a global higher order purpose. And suddenly, like, oh, what I do really matters. You get there, and it can't get better than that. That's kind of what I think about it. That's how I think about it.
It's very helpful, and it's making me realize there's much more scope for bringing more of LS more foundationally into improvement, because this element of making the shift from something relatively mundane or equally important, but to something deeper and more meaningful and more transformational. And I think that's there is need for some work in this, Keith. Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you so
Well,
much.
it's so great to see you. Thanks for coming today. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, Keith, can we take one more question if it is there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have just 10 more minutes, but yes. And I can do brief answers, believe it or not. I have
Sure.
answered briefly. Not today, but I can do it.
Sure.
So I have a question. Yeah, I have a question. This is Chitra. I have a question around so this has come up often in my recent interactions and trying to make sense of complexities around, ESG or eco-social responsibility. And everyone talks a different language. So if you're coming from cross-functional teams, how can a shared language be created? Like, how can everyone speak, everyone hold different perspectives, but arrive at something that is shared and common, and understanding is established? Because without that, communication just bounces off.
Yeah. So there's one liberating structure. Well, two I want to mention. One is when you have that much diversity and people are trying to work together, there's usually some harm done in the past, some deeper misunderstanding that resonates or sticks around and needs to be addressed. So something to get people to a place where they might forgive one another or make amends or just ready to move forward would be something called heard, seen, respected. It's a liberating structure. It takes 20 minutes, and you invite in pairs people to talk to each other. Just tell a story. One person listens only. Tell a story about a time when they were not heard, not seen, not respected. And the other person is just there for them. And then you switch roles. And you can do another round or two of that. And it has an incredible cathartic, therapeutic effect. We all have that. And then people need practice asking for what they need from each other. Very tangible and direct. And so there's another liberating structure. This isn't the first one I'd recommend, but it's one that would address what you're talking about, called What I Need from You. And it's usually done in functional groups, but it could be done by individuals who have different points of view or different functions in the world. And it starts with whatever the differences are. Like if it's an organizational thing, there'll be a finance, executive, frontline work, therapists, whatever the groups are. And each one each group takes a moment to say, what do we really need from the other function, from the other group? What's the basic thing? And so they have some time to create needs that, they absolutely need it. It's clear. It has a date attached to it even. When, what are the specifications for what we need from you? And each group generates that. And then a leader, or if they're just individuals, the people go into a little fishbowl in the center, and they look each other in the eye and say, this is what I need from you is this. And then they look at the next person. What I need from you is this. And each person has a chance to go around and say exactly what they need. No responses. Just pause again, like the, pause. Go back to your group. You've written down those things. And you ask your group, can we give those people, that person, that? And you only have 4 responses that you're going to go back. That same person's going to go back into this little fishbowl, look in the eye and say one of 4 things in response. Yes, which means you're going to get that. You may not have known that's what they needed, but yes is a yes. No, there is no way in the world you're ever going to get that from us, so you need to go somewhere else. Huh? Still don't know what you're talking about. We ships in the night, we pass by, we don't know. And the last one is the least respectful, but maybe the most honest. Whatever. Do you have a teenager? You've ever had a teenager or anybody say whatever to you? That's what it means. It's like that doesn't, it's almost the fact that you're asking that, it's not worthy of my attention. Right? You don't get me. And I've done this at the highest levels, like Mayo Clinic. I know it's a big clinic in the US, big thing, it's a big deal. And the front line, they're trying to improve flow through their primary care system. And the people at the front desk who do all the relations and stuff, the doctors had gotten together and say, what do we need from people at the front desk? And basically the doctor said, we need you to do whatever we think of in the moment. Just do what we tell you. And they got a whatever from the front line. And it was totally, as far as I could tell, yeah, baby. So this is something you would do it if you want to take a risk. If you want to get somewhere and you're ready to do that kind of thing, I recommend it. It's called What I Need From You. It's written down on the current website, and it's going to be on the new website too. And it's when I have a group that not everybody's ready for it, because you can just tell those answers. So those answers are delivered. And then you go back to your group and kind of go, well, what are we going to do? Right? We got some yeses, nos, some we could clarify, but we still might not get anything. And then finally, if you get a whatever, there's some more healing. You need to go back to the heard, seen, respected, and try some more healing. Or there's another one called grief walking, that if you really need a lot of healing, grief walking is a pretty fabulous. I always have to get my courage up. These are all ones that you need to get your courage up to use. But my just sense of you is that you have the courage. But for me, I've got to go, oh my God, I've got to run what I need from you, or grief walking. I have to get my emotional stability firm before I can even do the work. Is that helpful? I hope that's helpful for you. Okay.
Yes, thank you so much, Keith. And in fact, I am actually I'm actually asking this because I'm trying to prepare like a workshop, which is meant for a conference coming up in June. And I'd like to share the structure or something, and get your feedback if you're willing to. Can I do that? Like, should I mail that across to you?
Yeah, I'm putting my email in the.
So yeah, it is in a heated topic of polarities and resistance. And so I anticipate a lot of conflict in a situation like that. Of course,
Yeah.
within the context of an organization or bureaucratic organization.
Yeah, well, get yourself nice and stable, and then do one of these things. And a wicked question, another liberating structure. Sorry, but a wicked question can help you. You know, how is it? Something like, how is it that we have this incredibly rich future and all of the diversity that we have can be used to make progress? You know, something that puts the two things together, that we don't always agree, but we have all the diverse views needed to make progress. So it holds the paradox. And like me, I've got to be more structured. I've got to be more improvisational. This situation probably has two things like that, where if you can do both, you'll be in better place.
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
Chitra.
Yeah, and send along. I love stringing and helping people with the design part. It's my reason to be.
Thank
I
you.
think. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. One last question in the chat is, if you had to rename liberating structures based on how they actually show up in practice, what would you call them? This is from Brinda Manurkar.
That's I'm going to have to think about that one a little bit. But for me, they're respect and love. Respect and love would be like deep respect for you. I say at the end, often through the work, I've come to believe in people more than myself, right? Together we're more than me. Maybe that's a name. No, it's not a very good name. It's hard to categorize. So liberating structures we're sticking with it. In the new book, what we're basically saying, we're flipping the script on meetings, planning, and progress. So liberating structures, flip the script on all of those things. First, usually you're going to address a meeting. Then it's going to be planning, like you got to do the strategic plan in a different way. And then what is progress? Oh my gosh, it's not a vision. You can't even do that. Visions just don't work out for you. So what else is there? So that's what we're doing, is we're flipping the script, and maybe, I don't know what else to call it. If you haven't come up with a good one, use that email I put in there, please.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Thank you, Keith. Thanks, Keith.
You're
Thanks.
welcome.
Thank you all very much. And thanks, Keith, once again, from the bottom of our heart. Thanks for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank you.
lovely.
Thanks.
Appreciate
Thanks
it.
everyone for joining. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kamakshi, and
Thank you very much.
A delight from top to bottom. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, Keith. Not only liberating, but you are very, very generous.
My pleasure, really. You can tell I'm having fun, right? So let's keep it going.
That's written all over your face as a delight that you have in sharing.
Yeah.
Generous
Yeah.
indeed. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks,
carry on.
Ramesh. Thanks, Ramesh.
Thank you.
And
Yeah,
Kamakshi.
thanks, Ramesh.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.